When I got engaged in March, I knew I wanted to make my wedding dress. But it wasn't until I found this Solis London dress that I got truly inspired. If I could figure out a base pattern for the dress and make it fit and revive some long lost draping skills from college to make it look like the original, I would have something truly spectacular to wear on my wedding day. All I had to do was overcome some pattern fitting issues, alterations, and figure out how to drape it so it looked like the original. This is the story of how it all turned out. After I got the muslin all marked and sewn up with Jen, I realized that I was not going to be able to get the right fit without two things. Number one, I had to put the zipper in and sew up one side because just basting both sides was kind of coming out like sausage casing and not giving me a good idea of the fit. And then the other thing I had to do was get a strapless bra, specifically the one that I'm going to wear with this dress when I actually get married, because I need to know exactly how that is going to fit under the dress to make the dress fit properly. Now, one of the concerns I had, and that's just generally a concern, is whenever I wear any kind of a one shoulder pattern, and I have had this experience in the past, there's always too much fabric up here at the top. So that's definitely something that's happening here. It's not too bad on the side, but once again, this dress form is more or less my measurements, but her parts are not quite in the same place mine are. So I'm gonna pop this on and then I'm gonna show you more specifically where the fit issues are, and we'll talk about how I plan to fix them. This is the dress on me, and you can see there is a lot of space up here at the top that needs to be accounted for. My plan is to push that back into these darts down here to get the right fit by moving this excess ease down into the dart. You can see that the darts here in the front are kind of long. So it's really tight through the abdomen area, but the rest of it looks okay. In the back, you can see that the fit isn't quite right across the back and the shoulder because it's kind of doing this bunching thing through here. It is a process. And I want to get the fit right of this dress before I start draping, just because if this fits, then that will be easier to work with. This dress is completely lined, so I do not want to mess with having to adjust the fit on the lining. I'd rather just get the fit right with the muslin and then make the pattern for the outside and the lining at the same time, and that's going to be a lot easier. So one thing I did change was I put the zipper on the left side of the dress. Traditionally, zippers should be on the right side of the dress, but because of this fit issue happening here, I didn't want to have to fight with the zipper and the fit issue. So I went and got Grandma to help me with this process because I can't mark the bust points and where the darts need to end by myself. So Grandma's going to do that for me. This is where I think the bust point is.
That's about right.
Okay. Is this even with the other one? About right there?
This one needs to be a mite lower.
Okay.
Yeah, about like that.
About there, and this one's about here. Okay, because these darts, see this dart needs to
I see
back
it.
off.
Yeah.
So the dart needs to back off. This dart looks okay. This dart's wonky. That dart needs to be backed off. Okay. I think these darts are too long too.
Those are too long.
Where should they end? Here, mark it. I think they're way too long. Right here?
Yeah, my hand's shaky.
It doesn't matter. You just draw a line like that. Match it on that side.
Match it. See, I can't. Okay.
That looks about even. Okay. Where they need to stop, because I think these are too long back here too.
Wait, move your hand.
I got to do that on the pattern. It's about, what is that, a half inch?
And right here.
No, it's going to be the whole thing. It's going to be all of it. It's going to move over
And
there.
right here.
What would you say it is? About a half inch?
Yeah.
Into both darts?
Yeah.
It's about a half inch. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay. Looking at this, if you think the darts need to match,
I think they would look better.
plus I don't think that needs to be that tight. I think that's going to be the
No,
mark.
it's going to be where you can slide it around rather than hugging your butt. That anyway, it's not going to show because that's where that train comes off, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be hanging back there.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're
I
right.
think changing the darts is the better way to go with
Yeah,
that.
that's a much better way.
Because that's right in here.
Yeah.
To keep this all smooth, but then
Yes.
to not change the length of the
Not
dress.
change anything. Just go ahead. That's it. That's your waistline where you sway back.
I'm going to take in a 1/2 inch on both of these. I'm just going straight up from the original dart.
It's just too big.
Yeah, it's just too big. Grandma and I were discussing the way that women in our family are built, and we have more boob on the bottom than the top. And because of that, this top is never going to fill out.
No.
It's just
It just needs to be.
adjusted.
That's just the genes.
That's just the genes. That's how it works. Okay, so the technique I'm using, I just learned at the Sewing Expo. And basically what I'm gonna do is draw my seam lines onto my pattern pieces, and then I'm going to cut and spread them and move that ease from the top of the neckline into the side dart. And so that's what I'm getting ready to do, is prep my pattern. Okay, so I'm using a different technique. I have never done this before, and the idea is that you cut the seam allowances, but you hinge them, and then you can adjust your pattern inside of the seam allowances, and it doesn't change the design lines that you would connect it to any of the other pieces with. I'm going to move the excess, I'm going to cut down here towards the bust point and then move this piece over so that we open up that dart over there. And that way I will have the ease or the extra fabric removed from the top of the dress, put into the darts. And in theory, this is supposed to work. So we'll see how this goes. I did mark my new bust points on this Pellon paper, and I'm just going to cut down to them. I marked both bust points. I backed off 1 inch from each one, and then I drew the new dart lines to the base of the original dart. So the original dart base is over here. And the reason I did this was to keep everything lined up with the original seam allowances. So that's why this is matching the original dart base, even though the original dart would have been up here, because that's not going to help when I have to move this over. So I measured where the ease or the fullness needed to be taken in, and it was pretty much straight above these darts. So imagine if these were princess lines, it would be easier to adjust because we just put the extra fullness into there. So we're going to move it over about a 1/2 inch because I looked at 1/4 inch and that's not quite enough. So we're going to smooth that up. Okay, and you can see that we're opening the dart over on this side. So I'm going to put a piece of tape over there to hold that in place. And you can see now that this dart has opened up, it's bigger than it was. And on this side, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to move it over about 1.5 inches, or 1/2 inch, sorry. So that's 1/2 inch. I'm going to tape that down. We're going to move that seam allowance. And you can see that there's a lot more bust dart that's been added over on this side. Okay, so I think I got this. I moved the excess ease into the side darts. I did notch all the way to the bust point because that was the only way I could make this all work. And then I needed to overlap the curve to make this still match up. I got the seam allowance around the side to still match up. And there's a little bit of extra ease here, but I think I'm going to have to narrow the shoulder anyway, so I'm not going to stress about that. But the bulk of the fullness has now gone into the bust darts, which you can see through the table. That's where all the extra fullness went. And then I've also marked and moved the points of the center darts to make them shorter. Looking at this pattern, Grandma and I have been discussing that Butterick patterns tend to be a little bit bigger on me proportionally, and it looks like everything is just like 1 inch off of where it needs to be. So hopefully these adjustments will help that. I'm going to go I'm gonna cut a new muslin and save the original muslin just in case this doesn't work and I have to go back to draping. I made the pattern modifications after the fitting with Grandma yesterday. I transferred all the marks to my Pellon fabric pieces, and now I'm going to cut my second muslin sample to sew up again and see how this one fits, if the pattern alterations worked or not. We're just moving on to the back. I'm basically just shortening out those back darts. I'm hoping that will solve the problem. Grandma did know that I didn't clip the darts, and usually clipping them helps with the fit and helps them relax a little bit. But I didn't want to do that because I'm still in the fitting process and I may need to take out these darts and then repin them, and I didn't want to have a cut in them just causing additional ease and problems. So I'm going to move on to just the marking part, and then I'm gonna pin the darts and head to the sewing machine and get it re-sewn up, and then we'll try fitting a second time. So what do you think? Okay, so I put on the first dress and Jen agreed that this one is the better fitting one. So this is the second version after I've done the pattern alterations, but it's still a little bit big up here. So, and the darts weren't in quite the right place, so we're going to...
I'm wondering if I need to rip this all the way out and then pull that into
The dart?
the dart. Is that a weird idea?
No, that's what I was trying to do with the pattern work,
Okay.
but I couldn't get it to work exactly.
Let me see if I can just rip that out. We can always sew it back in if we need to. Oops, sorry. There we go.
Look, I'm there with you. I can't
Okay.
see what you're doing either.
Let's see, where are they? There. All right.
Okay, now we're ready.
Yeah.
We're ready for the magic to happen.
Okay, so I think okay, the thing is you can always go back to this version, right?
Right. This is the Pellon pattern is now this size. Is now this version. And I'm trying to keep my arms down without.
Yeah. I'm making this more, like it is more fitted.
It's fine. I mean, it's fine if it's fitted through the bust. It's just the tummy area that I don't think needs any more fitting.
It's fun, I'm excited. Big jobs. Okay, and then this guy will come, let me see here.
It was like a side slanty dart. Yeah, see, you're still taking out a lot of it. See, it's still got that weird pucker. That's what I'm like trying to...
Are either of these darts going to show?
Probably not. Because the panel...
There we go.
Will come, you got it? Nice.
I think. Okay.
I don't know if some of this needs to be pulled like that.
Yeah, I may do a little tuck up there. Let me do that and see. You can take that out of the pattern, right? That one. And then,
We'll see. But see, I think that's what you need to make this dart move back.
yeah. So the point goes, it's going to be right there.
Yeah, I think that's where it should be.
Okay. And then I'm going to try and get the way the dart looked to be the same. And then what you may have to do is copy this on the pattern to this side. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can pull that
I
one
don't
too,
know if-
but
yeah, I
it
think
won't
you should-
be identical. You'll have
I
to
think
copy
it's okay.
it. Okay.
I don't think they will be identical, just because this side needs to be more fitted, whereas this side doesn't because of the shoulder. And this side has a zipper in it too. And I was having a beast of a time getting this muslin on grain. It's just like I should have I didn't have time to wash it because I had to go pick it up this morning. Because I didn't realize I didn't have any more of the other muslin. Jen's using her fashion designer skills from back in the day.
Okay. I'm trying to not, okay, that's better.
That's better. Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to hold it?
Yes.
I'll hold it in place.
All right.
This is the part of fitting that makes it really hard to do by yourself.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
why you
No
need to
way could you do this.
No, this is why
I'm
you need a
like,
friend who sews.
please.
You need to make friends.
Yes, that's the community part.
Right. Well, we're lucky because we've known each other for so long.
Yeah. Okay. So this is not expertly pinned, but
I want you to go in there and mark it with a marker
okay.
once it's pinned.
I mean, I think we could just sew it up real quick, right?
I
We
think-
could re-sew this, and
Because
then
this one's not as bad.
I was starting to see something here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's okay. It's better now. It was bad for a second.
Okay.
You know, like there was a
No, I know, and that's what I've been like seeing, and then I'm like, how is that happening? What is happening?
Okay. Let's see here. Actually, one of these might be better than the other, and then you would copy the good one.
Well, but my concern is that I'm not exactly even. You know?
Yes.
I mean, like, are we symmetrical? I don't think we're all
Yeah,
perfectly
but I
symmetrical.
think the dart has to look. I think
they're
the dart
both-
has to be the
I
same.
think they're going to be covered.
They'll be covered. Okay.
Yeah, because the panel comes like. I think. We'll look at it. We'll see how it works. Do we need to take it in here at the shoulder a little bit? Well, this shoulder seam just pulled out because I only had it basted.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Does that look better? Mm-hmm. So just taking it in at the shoulder? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe to.
And I don't know if I need to, I'm thinking about cutting this in because it seems really wide.
Okay.
Better?
I think so. Let's go look at it in the mirror. This is like.
This one.
It's better.
Make this one.
Yeah.
on each side. Yeah, I think it's better to fit this in here. on
Okay,
this side.
come and look in this.
We got the fit. We took it in over here at the side seam because this line is bothering Jen.
But yeah, it looks great
So-
now.
And that's done. And then we'll figure out which boot dart looks better. Probably this one. It looks a little better. I can't tell from looking down. But the
Yeah,
rest of
when
the
we
dress
get it on
looks
the
like
table.
It fits really, really well. It's just really still this part, but we're taking it in at the shoulder. We're taking it over here at the side. And the thing is that this is custom, so I don't have to follow the pattern exactly, right? 'Cause at this
Yeah,
point, we're
it's
not
your
doing-
pattern, baby.
It's my pattern. At this point. Okay, so Jen's gonna mark
Okay.
me.
Okay, that's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
And then we think, I'm going to mark them both because
Okay.
when you see them,
Just mark them both.
Mm-hmm.
However you think they need to be marked.
okay.
There's just no way I could have done this by myself.
No way. No way. Okay. And then so that should be the place where they come together. There's a little bit too much but the pins are a little clunky there.
Okay.
And then this guy, okay. So the front is not going to match the back any longer with regard to this here. There's more that's taken out of the back seam
Oh,
actually.
really?
I mean the back side.
That's fine. However, we may need to make it fit.
But of course they come together at the top. I'm gonna mark the middle of it. I think this may need to change when
Okay.
you kind of true this up because,
Whatever you think. Just I've been over marking everything because in that way I can always find it, right?
yeah. Okay. All right, hang on here. I'm gonna do the middle of this one. And then this just goes back. We don't need to change anything on the side seam here.
perfect.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think
Oh
it
my
looks
gosh.
good. Let me pull this out just so that we have it in the same.
Spot. I'll hold the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yay.
I mean, it looks a little messy because of all the scribbles and stuff, but like, I think it looks really good.
Yeah, I think the fit's right. Wait, let me put the shoes on.
Yeah.
Put the shoes on.
Oh yeah.
Better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jen stitched everything
Woo!
up really quick. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Yay.
Okay, feeling better.
I'm feeling good too.
Yeah.
I was afraid that these had gotten too high when I pulled up the shoulder, but I think it's okay.
Yeah.
And I don't think it matters that they're different because you're right. Bodies are asymmetrical.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
And this
that's-
dress is asymmetrical.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I was thinking is it's just like, it's not going to, you know? I mean, like,
I think it
I think
looks
it needs to fit more than it needs to be completely perfect because I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, that dart is slightly different from the other dart. Because they're not, I mean, they're not.
No one's going to see that.
Yeah. And then I think once we.
And there's going to be all this fabric and
At the
all this
top.
volume. Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
like I don't think, and I think it's going to probably.
We're wasting time hemming and hawing on it. You need to move on and get this dress made.
Yeah.
This looks funny a little bit here. It might be the way I stitched it with the basting stitch. It seems like it's a little puckered.
That's fine. I mean, you might have caught it a little bit.
Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, it
But
fits.
I think once you cut it again, because you're going to take this back to the pattern, alter the pattern,
Right.
and then will you cut another muslin or
Yeah.
that's it?
No, I have enough fabric to cut another muslin to just be safe. Because that's the muslin then I'll use on my dress form to drape the top piece and then figure out how to
Perfect.
connect it once we know it's like exactly.
It's good.
You're the best.
Yay.
I got all of the fit issues addressed with Jen and she helped me get the perfect fit for my dress. So next step was to transfer it all to the pattern pieces. I actually ended up remaking the front pattern piece because of the dart manipulation. It had been cut out in parts, it was getting kind of floppy, and I wanted to start with a really good pattern from the get-go and being able to use it for my actual fashion fabric. I didn't want to have to deal with any of that, so I just transferred the center darts and then I transferred the new bust darts to the new location and then also took in a little bit of the side seam over here on the side without the strap to give me the better fit. And then there was also a tiny bit taken off the top of the shoulder seam to kind of just fit this whole top bodice piece a lot better and keep it where it needs to be before I get to the next step of draping the shoulder piece. Everything about this wedding dress is remembering things that I learned a long time ago and pulling those memories back into consciousness because I have not done this in a very long time. So I have not done pattern work in a long time. I have not done alterations really ever. And I have not done draping to actually then take and make it into a pattern to then use fashion fabric to sew it all up in forever. Pretty much since college. I'm out of practice with all of this. So I was thinking about how we used to do draping in college, and basically what we did is we just like take muslin and tear pieces and then just start working. So that's what I'm gonna do. I have the picture of the bodice of the Ula dress here on my tablet so I can look at it. One thing I remembered is that when we used to do draping, we would get our fabric on grain. This is all on grain. I have the selvage. Where's the selvage? The selvage is torn off of this piece entirely, which is totally fine. That means it's pretty much on grain on all the edges. And when we used to drape, what we would do is, because I know there's a shoulder seam here and I'm gonna have to have a seam allowance, I kind of take extra fabric over the top up here, and then I know that I need to come around to this side seam, so I'm gonna go a little bit past that, and then what I'm gonna do is just snip my fabric and tear it. And then because I'm not really sure how much fabric I need, this will cover the width, but I don't think I need that much lengthwise. I'm gonna just kind of measure it by eye right here and snip and tear again. I remembered that when I took a draping class at the International Quilt Fest last year, I bought some of this marking tape. So this is to mark the lines that are on, you can actually just design with this straight out on your dress form, and then you drape to the lines, which is also something we did in college. But in college, we used soutache braid, which you have to pin in, and then it's kind of a pain. So let me just start working with this. So let me put the shoulder seam in as well. Now, when I started this project, I realized that the under pattern was not going to be exactly perfect. As you can see, it does look like the shoulder piece is wider. When I did look at the Ulla dress in person, it does have a narrower strap up here. So this could go away, or the strap could get moved over and will take in a little to be able to have that angle, which is what I want. The other thing looking at the picture on the dress is that there are some kind of like deep, they're kind of like pleats. So they're pleated on one side, the side that has the off the shoulder sleeve, and then they kind of open up towards this side. So maybe we'll try that and see if I can replicate that detail. I'm still trying to do this on bias. So let's keep going with that, and then we'll see how it looks. So one other thing that I remembered as I was doing this was that this is why we have Gingher shears, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut down to that style line to get the fabric to relax. And that's one thing I forgot about, because I was like, oh, how am I gonna make this work? And I was like, that's why you have your shears. So this is why we spent the money on these very expensive Gingher shears. They seemed like a lot of money at the time. I think they were like 40 or 50 bucks. And then I'm just gonna snip down to that line and put in a pin. And then that way I know where it's supposed to be. You can see how it's a nice smooth line now, and it doesn't have any of that bumping. So that is kind of the fun part about draping, is you can start moving the fabric and cutting it around, and it starts relaxing in places. I don't know, I think it's fun. So I'm gonna keep just kind of snipping and fitting and getting some of these pieces a little bit shorter. So this is why it's a process, is because as the fabric starts moving and I'm seeing what it's doing and comparing it to the picture, there are different things happening. So one thing that I noticed is that it looks like there is a kind of a fold up here, maybe a tuck of some sort that is going to be, I'm trying to see which way these are going. I think they're going up. So it looks like here on nearer the shoulder, there's like one tuck here, and then that will help absorb some of this fit through here. And you never kind of know what's going to happen because the fabric's just going to do what it's going to do and do what it's kind of meant to do. And you have to roll with it because, you know, the grain is going to go a certain way and you can put in your design lines, but then you still have the limitation of how the fabric's going to behave against it. I know I am not loving that giant fold right across my bust. I do not think that is going to be attractive. So we may start improvising at this point in time and seeing how I can get the fit to work and kind of pay homage to the original design, but make it so that it's going to look good on me. Start from the bottom and see how that works. Maybe that'll work better. Maybe it will not. I'm going to save this piece. I'm not going to throw it away. And we'll start again because that's how this is going. All right, second go round. I'm gonna start from the bottom and we'll see if this works better. I think it will. I don't know why, but I just think it'll work better pushing the fabric up, and then that way we'll just see how it goes. I also am using a smaller piece. This goes up over the shoulder and it's the width to both side seams, which I think is a better size than having something that was so long, which is kind of what I started with. So I'm just going to start putting a couple of pins in. So I have the first front panel of the bodice draped. It does not look like the one from the model. I cannot get the fold to come here. Minky's assisting. I cannot get the band to come across this way. I don't know how they did that. I messed with this. I have two other versions of the top when I was trying to achieve what they look like. I think that's going to be pretty. It keeps everything really smooth through this part of the silhouette, and that is what I would like. Moving forward, I did add the arms. She does have arms. Because I need to start working on the shoulder sleeve, the one that goes over the shoulder. So I've got my piece of muslin here. I'm trying to see which, okay, so it's a yard long. I'm gonna fold it in half so I can kind of see if I can do this evenly. I don't know how this is gonna work. So we will find out. I'm gonna pin this up here on top of the shoulder because this is where I'm gonna eventually want to connect it. So now I've got this shape, which is part of that upper sleeve. I think it's coming across, I think it's too big. Proportionally, I think it's way too big. I think it probably needs to be about half this size. This is the thing about draping. It's fun and it's kind of time consuming because you don't really know how long it's going to take, and you don't really know what's going to work and what's not going to work. So you kind of have to be prepared to play with it for a while. I'm thinking about basting in some horsehair braid once I kind of get the shape I want. Now, moving down the sleeve, it looks like this part here is all kind of tucked and draped. So I still haven't finished what this shoulder piece is going to look like. I just drew in the line on the original bodice and then matched it to the top piece. I don't know if that's going to stay that way, if we're going to cut back the top piece and create an anchor point for the sleeve. We're going to see how it works once I kind of get the shape right. Okay, so this process has been going on and being manipulated and redone and done again and let out and put back together. And I've come to the realization that it's not going to work. I don't know what the structure of the inspiration dress looks like. I'm not going to be able to make it happen. And I thought about that. I really did think about that. I kind of had a total crisis on Monday about how am I going to do this? When you look at the dress on Net-a-Porter and you look at it on the model in the video, it's a lot softer and it's not as stand-uppy as the picture that I have shown you guys with, the very stylized version that is on the Soulless London website. It's a lot softer. The drapes are a lot more fluid. The back is a lot more fluid. And so then I started thinking, I really like this sleeve. I like a sleeve. Do I need 2 sleeves? Because that's part of the problem, is how do I connect this other sleeve without making this second bodice overlay? And then things are starting to get bulky. And then what do I do in the back? Because if I try and connect everything to this top edge, it's just going to pull the back of the dress down. And I decided that I'm going to change the design because this is just not working. The fabric does not want to look like the Soulless London dress. And I know this is muslin, it's not the silk, but I don't want to drape in silk because it was expensive. I mean, it was a good price, but overall it was expensive, and I don't want to waste gorgeous silk fabric cutting it up like I can with muslin, which I bought on sale. So I'm going to restart. I'm going to start taking this all apart because I've come up with a new idea and I think it's going to work. I'm going to show you my new idea, which I've been working in my head for quite a while now. And I think it's going to work, and I think it's going to make everything a lot easier to sew, which is, the number one thing, because all of this horsehair braid and backing fabrics and interfacing and using organza and all of these things are all things that I have zero experience with. And because of that, it's really increasing the stress me out factor. And so then I thought, you know what? Let's make this dress something that's totally unique to me, that I can handle, that I can make, that I'll be happy with, and that most importantly, I can sew without stressing out about, is it going to work? Because honestly, until I get this all cut in the silk, I don't know 100% how to put it together, because I don't want to use all these backing fabrics and all this stuff with the muslin, because then I'm going to be spending all the time making this muslin version and not working on the real one. So one thing I need to decide is if I want to change this shoulder seam, and I think I do, because I think it's too wide. I think it'll look prettier if it's narrower, but I'm going to kind of connect it back to the original seam lines. I'm just going to draw this in for right now and then connect it back, because I'm not sure exactly if that's what I want to do, or I may end up turning it more into a raglan sleeve, fit a little bit in the shoulder, which is okay, because it seems like, we'll put it this way, it's a little big on the dress form, but her shoulders are not the exact same size as mine, so I think that's probably part of what's happening here. Okay. Put this under my mic so it doesn't hit. Okay, so these are my 2 shoulder variations. One thing I did want to do is I have to cover up one of the darts because they're not even. So that was one of the things when Jen and I were doing the fit. She's like, oh, the darts aren't even. I'm like, it doesn't matter. We're going to cover them up. So I want to cover up this dart. This dart looks a little bit better than the other one, which had to be adjusted more for this side of the dress to fit. So that's the idea for that part of the dress. And then, just see, if we do it as a raglan, I could end it there and then start the drape at the sleeves. I think that's what we're gonna do. Let me draw in. When I mark stuff, I like to put arrows on it so that I can know which way it's supposed to fold, because sometimes when you get it back to the table all unfolded and you're making your pattern, if you don't know which way you folded it, it's kind of problematic. And then if I make a mark that doesn't go, I kind of hash it out. So that is that. That looks good. I'm happy with the way that looks. It looks pretty. I'm gonna cut this off, leave a little bit of an edge. So I think I am gonna go with the raglan type sleeve. I think that's the way to do it. I think that way I can connect this piece into the shoulder seam and put the sleeve open on the top, but then have it all connected on itself here along the shoulder, but then also sew it in and then have the drape on the top of the sleeve. So we shall see. It's an idea. And now I have to do the back, this side, but I'm going to move these pins back over where they go. Okay, so the really cool thing that I just did was match up the folds along this side seam, so to just create kind of an additional detail. And the idea would be like the one in the front and the one in the back would kind of like be slightly offset to make kind of like a herringbone pattern down the side of the side seam. So that looks really cool. I'm happy about that. And then trim that there. So this is what we have for the back so far. And initially I was thinking I would drape this in 2 pieces. So now I'm thinking that maybe I'll just connect the train underneath this to the back of the dress, and then I can just sew this down on top of it. Maybe. We'll see. If I connect the train underneath, then it won't pull away because this will be in place. Or maybe I don't need a train. I don't know. I'm kind of still, that might be the part that we're not going to do. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. All right, so the front is draped, and that's going to connect here on this shoulder seam. Put a pin in there to hold that in place. The back is draped, and it looks really awesome down the side. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. Let me put a pin over here to hold this all in place. There we go. So now I think next I'm going to do the sleeve and work on that, because those are the trains if I use it. I would like to have a train. I just think that would be a cool element, especially since this is a shorter dress. But I'm not going to force it. Let me prep another piece of muslin. Let's see how long I want the sleeve to be. So the idea with the sleeve is to sew it together so it will cover the strap, but then fit into the raglan sleeve. So now that I have that pinned, I'm going to start turning this line here to line up with the shoulder seam, or the raglan sleeve, the raglan seam that I drew in, that we are connecting this back piece to. Thinking, what if I repeat the tucking process that I did over on this side, over on the back of the sleeve to add fullness there, and then see how that works, see how that would look, because that's definitely adding more fullness to the sleeve. I've been working on the draping, and I think this is pretty close to where I want to be, or where the new plan has taken me. So I have the sleeve all draped. I did leave the top of it open because I think that would look cool. We'll see how it sews up. I did close the bottom of the sleeve and connect it back on itself. It's kind of this funky kind of, I don't know what shape that is. It's kind of balloony, but not super fitted or anything. So we'll see how that works. My idea is to match the top edge of that to the armscye for the original pattern, and that way I can attach it there. On the front side, I am doing a raglan sleeve, and I did put that seam line in there, which I need to go back and draw in on the sleeve. That's pretty good there. And then I have pinned in these pleats. I guess they're pleats, maybe they're folds, maybe they're tucks. We'll call them tucks. I like that better. And I have them pinned in place. I have started hand stitching this together because my idea at this point is to try it on and make sure that it fits and that I haven't draped things too tight. That is the challenge of draping, is not stretching things so that they're super fitted. Since I do have my dress toile on under here, I need to make sure that this piece that I have draped fits, that it all fits together and that it's not tighter on the top and then has this weird bunching under here. But that's kind of hard to do until I actually physically get it on. So that is why I'm pinning this all in place, and then I'm going to stitch it in place with some very large basting stitches, and then I'm trying it on. So fingers crossed, it's all off. Oops. There we go. Okay. I have to take off her arm to get this out of here. There we go. Okay. Now, there we go. All right. And unzip is on this side. All right, let's see if it worked. So this is the dress. And saying that I'm disappointed is a complete and total understatement because this is not what I thought this was going to look like. And I realized that my dress form is not me, and it looked much better on her. And now that I've kind of basted it together, it's kind of a mess, and this sleeve has fallen out with the basting. So imagine that kind of looks like that. I don't know what happened. I think I must have pulled it out when I put it on. But point being, this isn't going to work at all. This is not salvageable. The base dress is okay. I could go back and make this version of the dress or the other sleeve, but that's not exactly how I wanted to look for my wedding. So that's not really helping me. The fit of the base dress is pretty good. It's still not 100% perfect that I would be comfortable wearing it because the darts don't match up, and that would be noticeable if there was nothing on top of it. So I'm just really bummed out that a month's worth of work has turned into this, and that's sometimes what happens. It's a learning experience, and you do the best you can with what you've got, and apparently I just don't have enough time to figure this all out so that it can look the way that I want it to look. So I'm going to take this off and think about next steps and what the plan is and what I can do next. You can see very clearly that this dress looks better on the dress form than it does on me. So you can imagine my disappointment when I put it on and it looked the way it did. I have made the difficult decision of ordering the dress. And I guess that's not so difficult because had the dress been available in my size from the beginning, I may not have gone down this road. But since I did, and since we're running out of time, I'm running out of time, it's time to just make the call and recognize that my draping skills are not as great as I remember them being. And maybe that's something to work on for the future. But for now, I think I'm going to focus the remaining time I have on making some outfits for the honeymoon that I can go wear and enjoy and be excited about, instead of spending more time fighting with this dress to try and make it look like the original. Because here's the other thing. Even if I could get the draping with the muslin right, I don't know how to put it all together because the construction of the original dress is still a mystery. I never got a chance to go look at it again and look at the inside of it to see how it's all put together and holds its structure and shape. So that's the other part. Sometimes you just have to recognize when your aspirations are beyond your abilities. I talked to Jen about it and she agreed. She said wedding dresses are hard, especially when you have to fit it yourself. And even though she helped me get the base dress fit fairly well, this is still a problem. And because my dress form is not exactly me, it looks better on her than it does on me, which is all okay. And, you know, maybe one day my draping skills will be up to par. Or maybe if I had 6 months, I could have gotten this done. But between the hurricane knocking out the power for a week in July and having to stay out at my aunt's place an hour and a half away, and then the car accident from last week, and I'm okay, but you know, having to deal with car repairs and all these other things, a trip to Dallas for the Sewing Expo, a trip to Dallas in a couple of weeks for a YouTube conference, it's a lot. And I think I just need to take a breath and recognize that I can't do all the things, and maybe I should concentrate on the honeymoon wardrobe instead, because I'm excited about that. It's going to be fun, and I know I'm going to love wearing those outfits just as much as I'm going to love wearing the dress that I have ordered from Net-a-Porter. It'll be here next week. It is the same Solus London Ula mini dress. Hopefully it's not too many, fingers crossed, but I just ordered it. I found it here in the States, so I don't have to deal with, expensive return shipping. And, I'll let you know what it looks like once I actually finally get it. In the meantime, there's another great video coming up next. You can get some inspiration. We will sew a dress together. It is the A-line dress from New Look. I take you through it step by step. You will end up with a fabulous dress that I know you're going to love. I'll see you over there.